Right. It's a good evening to you and welcome to this special broadcast brought to you by Government Communications and Information System as well as the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Tonight we are talking curatorships as well as recognition of customary marriages, and we will be talking a lot around all those marriages basically that were not formally went through a process in court, or maybe let's say you didn't get a certificate and all those kind of things, where normally it happens around polygamy and all those kind of things. But anyway, I'm not an expert on that one. I'm just a facilitator of this thing. So join us up until 7:05, where we will be talking all about this customary marriages as well as curatorship. And I'm not going alone as usual. I'm going around with experts who will be talking to us more about this. So if you want to be talking to us and engaging us, you are on 0800 142 446. That is 0800 142 446. It's a toll-free number if you're using your landline. However, if you are using your cell phone, I'll be going with two producers, Linda Mazibu as well as Shenin Madu. Thank you so much to all the radio stations who are tuned to this one. And we are live. So do give us a call. We are also on our social media. It's at DOJCD_ZA. That will be for your Twitter as well as Instagram at DOJCD. Tonight, I'm having my two guests. They are from the master's office. They are both assistant masters. And they will tell us more about what that means. What kind of work is that? We'll do a bit of career guidance on it a little bit. And let me welcome Advocate Jacqueline Neethling. Thank you so much for making your time, ma'am. As well as Miss Christine Marinel. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, here's this big word, curatorship. Let's talk about that.
Well, curatorship is the administration of a person who is incapable of managing their own affairs. It can be people, such as people with brain injuries because of road accident fund claims, people with a stroke, intellectual disabilities, mental illnesses, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, etc. So it's all walks of life.
All right. So, but now, where does the law come in when I'm disabled and all that stuff? Because now it looks like there is some kind of infiltration. I might be feeling that way as a disabled person somewhere outside.
The curatorship division or section is a division of the Master of the High Court, and we deal with the administration process of the estate. There are two procedures that you can apply to appoint a curator bonus over the estate. The first procedure is the common law procedure, where you apply to High Court for the appointment of a curator bonus. So you go through an attorney. And the second procedure is according to the Mental Health Care Act, where you apply directly to the master. In this case, it must be a mental illness or a profound intellectual disability. Otherwise, you must apply to the High Court.
All right. Now, talking about curatorship, who actually needs to apply for that, and on what basis would you be granted that permission to do your own things, like you say?
In common law, the court decides. So the application will be brought to the court, and the court will appoint a curator ad litem. The curator ad litem will investigate the matter, and then if the court appoints a curator bonus, the court order will be served on the master, and the master will, after the requirements have been lodged, appoint a curator bonus.
Now, what would be the quickest process? So how long does it take, basically, if everything is successful, as you say?
At the master's office, it takes about 2 weeks to appoint a curator bonus, usually. With the court, it depends on the court role and how urgent the matter is.
Okay. All right. But now, because, you see, we're talking to an audience that normally wouldn't know much about these things. That's why I'm asking, what, in your experience, what was the longest case that took place, and what would have been the shortest case that took place?
Well, in most instances, people apply through the court to be appointed as curator bonus where the person has a mental incapacity or a mental illness such as Alzheimer or I can't think of
Yeah.
a
Let's
mental
say
illness.
in the estate.
They can apply directly to the master, so there's no court application, no attorney fees, so it's much cheaper. It's a cost-effective option, and it goes through the master directly, so they do not have to apply to the court.
All right. Miss Christine, we're also talking customary marriages, right?
Yes.
Take us through the Customary Marriage Act, the one of 120 of 1998. I believe that's where it started.
Yes.
All right.
In terms of the act, it gives recognition to customary marriages. The thing is, what is a customary marriage? When does it qualify? If you look at the definition in the act, it means that is a marriage that was concluded in terms of the customs and traditional usages observed among indigenous South African people. If it's a marriage that was entered into outside of South Africa, it's not being covered by this act. So it's specifically for South Africans, for people in South Africa.
Now, what if I marry a foreign national? What happens?
Well, if you marry in South Africa, then this is applicable.
Oh.
But if you go marry in a foreign country, then the marriage laws of that country will be applicable.
All right. But now, naturally, once everybody's married or they're getting married, you're getting married into a male person's home or something like that. You change your surname from Van der Merwe to Nel, let's say, right?
Yes.
So, would it actually work the same way between men and women?
Yes.
From any other country?
Yeah. Traditionally, the woman takes the husband's name.
Yes.
But our laws are changing. So women can choose to retain their own names if it's for professional reasons.
Right.
But mostly the woman takes the husband's name.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really matter what the nationalities are. It depends on the country in which they get married, which laws will be applicable to their matrimonial property rights, because that's actually what the big thing is about.
That's right.
Is whether you're in community of property or out of community of property.
All right.
Customary marriages, like civil law marriages, are in community of property. So it's a joint estate. Husband and wife has got an equal footing in it. The big thing with customary marriages, what we have a problem with at the moment, is that a lot of them are not registered. And that's important. People need to get their marriages registered at the Department of Home Affairs. The problem is not so much while the parties are alive. The problem arises from the master's point of view when one of the parties dies. Because for us, in the sense that you have to come and prove to us what your relationship is to a deceased person.
Yes.
If you can't provide me with a valid marriage certificate, how do I know that you are married? Especially when the family comes and they contest it. Then what do we do? So now currently you can go to Home Affairs even after a person has passed away. And by complying with Home Affairs requirements, you can actually get the marriage registered.
Yes.
But that is only until the end of this year that you can still do it like that.
Okay.
As from 1st of January next year, you're going to have to bring a High Court application.
Is that all that's going to change, or is there any other change?
No, that's at this stage that the indication is that that's what will probably change.
All right. Remember, if you've just tuned in, we're talking justice tonight, and I'm having two assistant masters from the master's office. We're not talking about the headmaster or anything. We're talking law. So maybe before we go a bit further, who appoints the curator? Advocate, maybe?
The court appoints the curator in the court order, but the master authorized the letters of appointment.
Yes.
So after the court order has been issued, the application must be served on the master with the court order, and forms must be completed, and then the master consider the application, and the master authorizes the appointment of a curator. Bonus.
All right. Does the process include, like, the decision to say which curator are you taking? Does it include the person who's applying for that?
No, in the curatorship matters, in the common law matters, someone is nominated in the court papers
Oh,
to be
yeah.
appointed, and the judge decide if that person must be appointed as curator bonus or not.
All right. Call us on 0800 142 446. 0800 142 446 is a toll-free number if you're using your landline. However, if you're using your cell phone, Shanine is out there to actually help you and call you back. So when you call in, just make sure you're ready with your cell phone number and you are ready to tell Shanine where you come from, what's your name. Of course, if you want to remain anonymous, you are welcome to do so. However, we would like you to tell us where you're coming from so that we are able to actually deal with your issue as per the region that you're coming from. As we know that somewhere, somehow, in our country, we got quite very diverse issues from diverse different places in our own. Now we are moving on to a caller here, and it's Sibusiso from Hebron. Sibusiso? Hello, Sbu. Do we have Sbu on the line? Right, moving on. Sbu, do call us back again. And just know that our aim on this show is to make sure that you know much about curatorship as well as the customary marriages. I know in KZN, I know in many traditional areas of our country, we have quite a lot of people who are in the same situation. So, re founele o re bolelle ka taba ya gago re utlwa gore wena what did you experience? Are you married in a customary marriage kind of situation? Or maybe are you somebody who has that paper, that certificate that says I'm married, and then there's this other person who happens to be the second wife or something? We know we have these kind of issues. So let's talk about them and find out if you are being, if you can be assisted by the law. And by the way, we have Miss Kristen Marifanel as well as Advocate Jacqueline Neethling, and they will be speaking to us up until 5 minutes past 7. Is Busiso back? Not yet. All right. We're moving on right now. We're highlighting the requirements for a valid customary marriage. Now, what are those requirements, Advocate? Maybe if I go to Miss Jacqueline.
Okay, for a prospective spouses must at least both be over 18. If they are, that's with other words, they must both be majors. If one of them is still a minor, they need consent from their guardians, be it the natural parent or a court-appointed guardian. Both must consent to the customary marriage. The marriage must be negotiated and entered into or celebrated in accordance with the customary law. And then also the parties must not be prohibited from marriage because of a relationship by blood or affinity as determined by the customary law. It is important to take note of the fact that Customary Marriages Act do recognize polygamous marriages. But people must remember that if the husband wants to enter into a second marriage, he needs consent from the first wife. And there's actually a constitutional court case out on this at the moment that highlighted that again. So that consent is vital. Customary marriages, as I said previously, is considered to be in community of property. So it's a joint estate. Husband and wife, everything goes into one estate. If the husband enters into a second customary marriage, then now the question arises, what's the property rights now? Now you can't have three people all owning everything. So the first marriage remains in community of property. In terms of the Act, he has to then approach the court for to confirm an agreement to say what the second marriage, the property rights will be. If he doesn't take the necessary steps, that second marriage will be considered as out of community of property.
Yes.
So that's basically, and then neither party can be a partner in a civil marriage when they enter into a customary marriage. So that's basically the highlights on what they have to look at.
All right. Now, how much power does a curator wield around as a representative of this kind of process, Advocate?
Well, the powers of a curator bonus and an administrator is basically to administer the estate of the person who is incapable. Now, the estate is consisting out of assets, which could include, his powers could include the following: To receive, take care of, and control and administer all the assets, to carry on or discontinue business, subject to any law which may be applicable, any trade, business, or undertaking, to acquire, whether by purchase or otherwise, any property, movable or removable, for the benefit to the estate, to apply any money for the maintenance, support to or towards the benefit of the person, to invest and reinvest funds. In other words, any power that you would like as a person to do, that person can do, but usually it's under the control or under the subject to the consent of the master. So those applications come to the master, and then the master consider the applications first.
All right. Now let's talk in a sense of an estate, and an estate in a sense that there's people who land is being transferred to, as we speak now, the communities who were moved from one place to the other and all that. Where does the curator comes in when it's like a community property association kind of situation?
No, the curator is not part of that.
It's not.
No.
All right. So how much in an estate? Because an estate is land, right?
No, estate can be any assets,
Any
motor vehicle,
asset.
immovable property, anything.
So he
Bank
doesn't
accounts.
get anywhere into land issues.
He can, depending on if the person who is incapable is part of the land issue.
All right. Yeah. All right. Let's take two callers. I'm going to start with Lebo from Aliwal North. Lebo?
Yes, Ntate Stone.
Morenaka.
Waluka ujwang.
Hulukile mre.
Kgotso ai ate.
Ndati.
Ke na le potso mona wa bona o pule ntate rona bontate rona molo ke batho ba tswang bo Lesotho bana ba tla mona. Tsietsi o fumana hore ha ba se ba le ka Afrika Borwa ka mona ba fumana di-ID tsena ba fumana ditokomane tsena mme ba le ba charter le bo mme ba mona. Jwale ha ke a utlwa hantle qalong mane hore na curatorship le recognition a ga bitwa ntle re batla go hlakela ntle hore na ke eng tweno ebe batho ba bomme ba di-lesbian bona ba amea kae mona machatong ona o di-act tsena melaong ena e metjha ke ka thaba haholo fela tjena mono ntate ha nka fumana dikarabo
Morenaka, ke lebohile haholo.
Kgotso.
Thank you so much to Takalani Community Radio. It's based in the Eastern Cape, and he's listening to Takalani Community Radio. We're going to Sibusi, so he's back. Hello, Sibu.
Hello, Nejane.
Siapila kunjanta?
Siyaphila futhi manje. Mina inkinga futhi lana manje amazi ukuthi ngithola kanjani. Mina inkinga lana inkinga yethu la imayelana nomama wasekhaya la ekhaya.
Awuzwakali kahle Sibu, awuzwakali kahle impela. Can you
Ukhulumela phansi?
Ukhulumela phansi ngathi usethinini or something. It's like you are in a tin.
Okay, but
can you try to maybe hold it better than now?
Okay, futhi mina inkinga ehambilana ngiyazwakala manje futhi.
Yazwakala kungcono tata.
Okay baba. Inkinga yami futhi lana manje nginenkinga umama umntwana lapho umama wabantwana uSikazi esibhedlela ngo-2008 ngoDisemba 2007.
Yes.
So kwakuyinkinga waye-pregnant umntwana ku-9 months. So sabiza i-ambulance yamthatha i-ambulance yamusa esibhedlela futhi manje inkinga-ke esikhaya lapho emveni kwalapho u-admit esibhedlela wabeletha umntwana womfana emveni kokubelethwa kungayenzi 28 ngeyi-28 lezo ma ngiyangifika ngithola ukuthi umama umntwana akekho esimeni esi-right umhlukaniswe nomntwana ngabuza bathi umntwana no akekho esimeni esi-right kodwa-ke ukwenye iwodo kuzofanele ngihlangane nodokotela. Kusukela lapho ngalo lelo langa leyi-28 umama umntwana ngeyi-29 wayengasakhulume engasangazi nangengqondo ingqondo yakhe ingathi ayisasebenzi ngizangazi ukuthi kwenzakalani-ke nganganaka sabheka umama womntwana-ke ngilongibuza ngomntwana ngize esibhedlela ngibuza la esibhedlela umntwana bengitshela nje ukuthi akekho esimeni esi-right afakwe emabhodleleni ufikele umama womntwana engasakhulumi ngaze ngabiza ifamily yedwa kamthatha uthathe emva kwe-3 months esibhedlela.
Asiqonde umbuzo baba.
Okay.
Yes, asiqonde umbuzo. Bewufuna ukwazi ukuthi kwenzakalani?
kahle kahle baba mina inkinga yami bengicela ukubuza ukuthi mangabe njengoba isibhedlela manje sithi umntwana ukuMaria Mnisi uya kusona manje 2016 ngiya kubo ngibuza ngondaba umntwana wami uphelele esibhedlela kubona manje babuya bathi kini uMaria Mnisi uyena umuntu oinvolved endabeni nomntwana wethu babuthi bafosela thina futhi ukuthi sirelate naye lowo muntu loyo Maria Mnisi loyo singamazi unika umntwana wethu ngapha futhi umama umntwana usele nokugula uyawa manje ugula kuye nakwesibhedlela esimkhare lapho uyawa kaseze endleleni sekuyinkinga nje odokotela basesitandard labo uyakophila khona bathi angeke asaphinda phila endaba okwisibhedlela lesi simbulele simlimazile ngapha masibuya nathi funa umntwana wethu esibhedlela since ngo-2011 futhi ngaqala ukuhamba uma umntwana mayi-recovery ngisala isibhedlela emuva
okay. All right. Uzolalela umsakazweni angithi da.
Okay baba.
All right. Thank you so much.
Kodwa ke baba bengicela nje manje kulolu daba ngeke ngakwazi ukuthi ngithole umthetho kongenelela ngoba ummeli lo ophethelele icala naye silisagcina nje sithengele indlu 40,000 waphuma kithi nje manje asazi ukuthi masikhuluma naye akafuni ukubamba ucingo lutho.
All right.
Lo mthetho.
Okay, so bona ukuthi sixasulwa kanjani?
Ngiyacela baba.
All right, siyabonga kakhulu. All right, we're moving on to Mokopane in Limpopo province. Hussein.
Ntate Mosotho.
Morena ka le kae?
Awa, ba ka Mokopane ba ngona.
Awa, ra thaba ha Mokopane re go kwagala ka Mokopane ka bua.
Yeah. Nna Ntate Mosotho man ke na le position yana e na ke nya go dwela too much on taba ya curatorship. Yeah. I have this very close friend of mine who anang le bothata gona mo in terms of this thing when I curatorship. Una a mo accident.
Ana le kae mo accident?
A me mo accident.
Okay.
Aro a me mo accident. That was about 6-7 years ago. A me mo accident. He was hospitalized for about 6 months. After more, and then the road accident fund mole was already so for the road accident fund and then he was surprised at there's these people who are phone la mola he does not even know the money only knows the lawyer stuff like that. And this lawyer private hospital go and then okay before that I still I got on a tax through. This lawyer India. Yamutamaisha go the private hospital. Bamu find this false hope yaur utoba all right. Have it through. And then Bamutamaisha the private hospitals. Bamutamaisha the private hospitals. Yeah, Monawala civil shelter.
Kadi chala tatari fin that.
Chelete ya root extent fund. It's a curator. It's a curator. Even today, he has not even got a single cent. But only last month, only I got a bomb policy. But Nago Ahelanto, Kaplanian. This has to be so it's an Altamati, the specialist, the specialist. If I'm to say from this doctor, I'm sure to another doctor, specialist, I know it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
So because this man is struggling. Mind my words, he's struggling and I can't because he does not even know recruiter is a man.
Yeah. All right. Aruka gore advocate le Miss Christine Barengayona, ne? All right, Morenak. Thank you so much. Let's hold on with calls for now, and there's 4 of these things. Now, Lebu wants to know, over the generations, there's lots of people who migrated due to work purposes, mining from Lesotho, from Botswana, or from Swaziland, right? Now, over the years, as we know that if you're coming from outside, in South Africa, if you get to marry somebody from an outside country, automatically you might become a citizen of this country, right? Now, in the curatorship part of it, there's kids now. They need to get all these benefits from this particular person who is originally seeing himself as somebody coming outside of the country. He stayed here for 30 years. He's now a father and a grandfather. Now, is it possible to appoint a curator for such kind of process where you'll be able to see some justice in all these siblings? Let's say there's 10 of them. And then are you able to see that process through curatorship? That's what he's asking.
Is it if the guardian or the parent is not available anymore?
The parent has passed on.
Passed on.
Yes.
It is possible. You can appoint a tutor. Now, a tutor or a curator may also be appointed over the estate of a minor. Mm-hmm. Now, a child of a minor is defined in the Children's Act as meaning a person under the age of 18. Mm. So the general rule is that minors under the age is disabled and must be assisted by a parent. But if the parent passed away, the parent can nominate someone in the will to be appointed, in his will, to be appointed as tutor over the property of the minor and the person. They can also apply to court to be appointed as tutor in other circumstances. And where the minor's property consists out of cash and investments, only it can be deposited into the guardian's fund, in which case no tutor or curator of the minor property is required, although a tutor or guardian can also be appointed to look after the minor. It should, however, be noted that the master does not have the power to appoint a tutor or a guardian over the person of a minor. So there's a difference between the property, the estate of the minor, and the person of the minor. Only the High Court may do so.
All right. Now, in a monogamy situation, that's another one. 2 lesbians, 2 gay people got married. I'm not sure how far is the process in terms of legalizing those marriages, but you'll tell us a bit about that. Mm-hmm. Now, here's a situation where there is a homosexual relationship. And does it get accommodated? And how does it get accommodated? Because I would like to think of it as a different case from the norm that we normally would have a male and a female getting married. And it's only now that we're getting to accommodate as well as getting used to the fact that there could be 2 people of one gender who could marry each other. Yeah.
Yes, you can actually get married. It is in terms of the Civil Unions Act. Mm-hmm. It's happening all the time. Yes. You get a formal registered marriage certificate. It's exactly the same principles as with any other marriage. You can do an antenuptial contract beforehand, have it out of community of property, or decide to marry without an antenuptial, which makes it in community of property. And the 2 spouses can then decide which surname they want to take, or whether they will each retain their own surname. But it gets full recognition, the same as with a marriage between a man and a woman, or between people of the same gender. It gets full recognition in law.
All right. Now, here's another one. The main man from Usbusiso, he's got quite a very serious problem of they're not married, but they've been together for more than 2 years or so. They've been together for years. Now they got this kid who's almost he's about 6 years, 7 years old. But now, at some point, the kid, was hurt at some point. I think he ended up being disabled, and the mother is also sick at some point. Now, he wants to take care of the child fully so, because the mother is not able to actually take care of the child, not simply because they fought or anything, but the mother is unable to do that because of some disability issues as well. Okay. And he's been trying to apply and all that stuff with the different structures that are available to him, but he is not getting anywhere. How does he go about this thing? Does curatorship help him at some point?
Yes, the curatorship can help him, but if the child is younger than 18 years and he has a mental incapacity, he can apply directly to the master in terms of the Mental Health Care Act to be appointed as administrator over the property of the minor. But he also has the choice to apply to the court to be appointed as curator bonus, or he can also be apply to the court to be appointed as tutor over the property of the minor. If he wants to take care of the minor as a person, he can also apply for guardianship over the minor. That's also a High Court application.
Yes. All right. Okay. Now, in his case, I believe he's from KZN. Would you advise the nearest master's office, or is there one office for the whole country? Can you just tell us how it works on that one?
Now, each province has its own master's office. I think in KwaZulu-Natal there's Master Pietersmaritzburg.
Okay.
There's Master Durban as well now. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's two master's offices in KwaZulu-Natal. That will be in Pietermaritzburg as well as Durban. All right, Sbu. You might be very far from that one, but just try it and see what goes on. But you can also call us if you happen to have some bit of problems. I have Mr. Victor Pala here. He's listening to everything starting from episode 1 right up until here. We are on episode 12, and he makes follow-ups when it comes to those. All right. Let's take the last one before we go on to other callers. Hussein is talking about an individual who had an accident and now they were in a process of being compensated for it. As the process was going on, the beneficiary was hit by stroke. Now, there was a curator or a tutor who was somehow appointed, but the person did not follow much of how did the process go, and he's been taken to all these different private hospitals and the money is being spent before it could even be transferred to him. So there is a bit of processes that are complicating this poor person simply because he does not know how a curator gets to be appointed, and basically they don't even know who the curator is because different people are calling from different structures and there's always a confusion. But he wants to get better from the stroke because they keep on, I'm sure you heard when he said they kept on giving him false hope to say, you are going to be okay, just keep spending the money, you're going to be all right, you see. So how do you help somebody like that in the curatorship process?
It depends on where in the process the matter is. If the compensation has not been awarded to him, the first thing he must go is back to his attorney of record and ask his attorney to assist him further, because the attorney would have referred the matter to the Road Accident Fund if it was an accident.
Sorry, is that the attorney who started everything from the beginning?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the attorney that they requested to lodge the claim is the attorney that he must go to. And then he must go from there and ask them where in the process they are. If a curator ad litem has been appointed by the court, the attorney will be able to inform him about that, and then they can approach a curator ad litem in the process. If the process has been finalized and the compensation has been awarded, and the court decided a curator bonus must be appointed over the property of that person, he can request from the master that the master search for him if there's a reference number and if the matter has been reported to the master, and then the master can assist him further with his queries.
All right. I hope, Hussein, that answers your question, but in case you want to ask questions of more clarity, please do so. 0800-142-446. It's a toll-free number. And Humphrey is from Soweto. Let's hear what Humphrey has to say. Humphrey?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
No, I'm fine.
Great. You sound very fine indeed.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, what's your question? What's your comment?
My question, it has to do with winding up of the estate. Can I ask it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, what goes into the winding up of the estate? Is it a card registered in my name plus my savings plus the money of the deceased? That's question number one. Question number two is that the attorney who's dealing with my case asked me for 30,000 plus the 3.5% that is stipulated by the law. So I want to know, is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Those are my two questions, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Humphrey from Soweto. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Advocate, I think you'll also consolidate that with the fees when it comes to that would be Miss Marinelle, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that one's with me.
All right. Please
All right.
tell us about it.
Okay, the first one, he asked about the assets. It sounds to me that he was married. What I can assume from what he's saying is was married in community of property.
That's right.
In community of property literally means everything that's on the husband's name and everything that's on the wife's name all goes into one estate. So that's the calculations for the estate fees and things are going to be done on the joint estate.
Yes.
Then he's asking about the fees.
Quite exorbitant kind of amounts you mentioned over there. Hey?
Yes. It's difficult because, you'll have to see what the liquidation and distribution account looks like. That's the account that the attorney has to lodge with the master's office to show him what assets there are, what liabilities there were, and what did he do with the distribution. Executives' fees is 3.5% on the gross asset value. Yes. That's before any deductions. So it's 3.5%, and if the executor is a VAT vendor or the agent of the executor is a VAT vendor, they can charge VAT at 14% on that fee as well. But that's not the only cost that goes into the administration. You also have master's fees that needs to be paid. It's a maximum of 600 Rand at the moment. There's 2 sets of advertisements. It's about 300 Rand plus per advertisement. Then if there's immovable property, you have transfer fees that has to be paid as well because they have to take the one party's name off the title deed. So there are additional costs. To be actually able to really answer his question, I'd be interested to see what the entire account looks like, what he's being charged for. Is the 30,000 for additional fees, or is the 30,000 for payment of administration costs? Because the other cost is not included in the executive's fee. Executive's fee is separate, and then you get your administration costs in terms of the Act that we do allow. Valuations, bank costs, those things. It's in terms of the Act.
Yes.
So it will depend on what his account looks like. At first glance, it sounds kind of high, but it will depend on what the account looks like at the end of the day.
All right, Humphrey, I think this is calling for you to come and clarify as well, to say, is this additional cost or hidden cost or all those kind of things. But there are costs. But now, do you get these costs upfront so that you are able to make your own decision? Because sometimes people get surprised by the bill.
Yes.
And you almost want to faint at that time.
It's difficult. I was in practice as well. So, I know what's some of the difficulties you have. You don't always know right at the onset of an estate what your costs will be. You have to go and investigate, see what your assets are. Is there any liabilities, any creditors that still needs to be paid? Is there outstanding costs on the property? Anything like that. That will come in, and that will make an effect on your total bill at the end of the day.
All right.
So you can do a guesstimate. I'm not even going to say it's an estimate. You can do a guesstimate for a client, but it's not a final figure. The final figure is the account that will be lodged with the master's office. That will give a clear breakdown of your assets, less your liabilities, and then you can see exactly how they're going to do the distribution.
But does it have to go that high as what Humphrey has mentioned earlier?
It can, because if you can work out your executive's fee, if you have an asset of, say, 1 million, you have an immovable property somewhere in the city.
Yes.
It's very easy that value, even on a municipal, might reach 1 million. If you have a house and a car, it's very quickly that you actually reach that. If you look at executive's fee only, that's 35,000 Rand.
Yes.
So, the cost can go up very high.
Yeah, we live to pay. That's how it is. Fagimaluzobon. That's how it works. But anyway, one of my producers is saying that we're not talking much about this customary marriage. But anyway, I believe people are more concerned about this curatorship thing. So we definitely going to be talking as per the people's demand. And this time around, we're going to talk to Defender. He's coming from Mpumalanga. Ndate Defender.
Ninjani baba?
Siyaphila ninjani?
Nginembuto customary marriage.
Okay, please.
But it's 3 in 1 question. Ngicela ukubuza ukuthi i-registration ye-customary marriage, is it effective? When is the deadline, and what will happen if umuntu angaka-register lowo mshado lowo customary marriage after the deadline? I'm listening from Kanyamazane Community Radio, Mbombela.
All right. Thank you so much. Mbombela is formerly Nelspray. Thank you very much. This is Kanyamazane Community Radio. And it's a question I was going to be asking. I'm not sure if it's for the advocate or Miss Marinelle says it's mine indeed. Okay. Just emphasize a little bit on the requirements to register a customary marriage, as well as he's saying what would be the repercussions in case you did not register. Is there a certain date, cut-off date, where every customary marriage should have been registered, and what happens after that?
All right. You get two cases here. In terms of the Act, it says that within 3 months after you've entered into a customary marriage, you should go and have it registered at the Department of Home Affairs.
Yes.
Of course, it's not a problem while both spouses are alive, because then they both appear there and they get registered. Your requirements for that, you have to take the Lobola agreement along. The agreement should contain the date of the marriage, the Lobola amount, and any other agreed information. If the agreement was concluded in a rural area, usually the confirmation by the tribal chief or the king should be there as well.
Yes.
Your problem comes in if one of the parties have died, because now you need to go and prove to Home Affairs that marriage did exist. So you need witnesses from both families. And that's usually where the problem comes in. There are a lot of fighting starts at that point. Because it is, at the end of the day, there are assets involved, and there are children that has rights.
Right, yeah.
So all these things do get affected. At the moment, you can still go to Home Affairs and register, even if a person has passed away. There's a cut-off as of up until the 31st of December 2016 by the Department of Home Affairs that will allow you to still register it even if the person has died. After that, it's going to be a High Court application to get your marriage recognized.
All right.
They keep changing this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if they're going to extend the date or not.
Right.
We don't know. We're not part of Home Affairs, so we just apply what they give through to us.
That's right. But now, if there's no paper trail at all, which is one of our very biggest challenges in this country, simply because people are not that very literate. Some of the people have never been to school ever before, and most of the customary marriages are not any time from between 1990 and now, you see. So, what would be the requirements then? Do you need alibi? Do you need somebody who can vouch for it? Or
basically,
anything
yes.
like that?
Yeah, you basically need somebody to come and prove that marriage did exist. Be it confirmation from the tribal chief, from the king of the area in which you lived. It will depend, at the end of the day, it will depend also on Home Affairs. They can, look at all the evidence in front of them and then make the decision. I can't tell you exactly what they will do. I can tell you that you can approach Home Affairs, your nearest Home Affairs branch, to make sure that you have all the documents that they will require to register that marriage.
Okay.
But it is important to register it as quickly as possible. Because it does, it affects the rights of women and especially the rights of the children as well. Because, we all would like to have it a legal...
well, sometimes
situation.
we think we've won lotto and somebody has died and we need some bit of money and all that.
Yeah, so it's
to a point where the
protection.
cases get ugly, right?
It gets very ugly. We get a lot of fighting in our office, especially when they come to report the estates. Then all of a sudden, nobody wants to recognize anybody as a beneficiary. So it creates a problem for us as well, and creates a problem for the people outside. So the safest is, while parties are still alive, as far as possible, try to get the marriages registered.
All right.
That is, I think, the one message that we would like to get to people, is to get them registered. It's a valid marriage, but it is difficult to prove it if you don't have a paper trail.
Yes.
So while parties are still alive, get the paper trail in place, have it registered.
All right. 0800 142 446, 0800 142 446. My name is Mosotho Stone. And if you have just joined us, we're talking curatorship and we're talking customary marriages. somewhere, somehow, the two topics don't have any much binding them together at all. But I'm thinking about if you have 2-3 wives, you need a curator. You need a curator because, hey, sparks will be flying into fire and everything. Yeah, that would be. It's a process of a very brave person.
That's very brave.
Yeah. Anyway, let's take Anonymous, who's calling us from Pretoria. Yeah. If you can switch off your radio so that I don't have to hear myself in the background. It's not nice to listen to yourself.
How are you, sir?
Hello, Anonymous.
How are you?
I'm good. Do you want to hear yourself on radio or something?
No.
Okay. Tell us what you're bringing tonight.
Okay, I think the previous caller just highlighted what I wanted to ask.
Okay, but you can just emphasize on it, right?
Yes, the customary marriage. I was married in terms of the customary processes, the labor negotiations and stuff. But things did not go well. Then we parted ways. But what I want to find out, even though there were documents that I was a common law spouse, but we never registered the marriage at Home Affairs.
Okay.
No, I'm talking in terms of the banks and your policies and stuff in terms of those processes.
That's right.
But what I want to understand, if I want to move on, because I'm in the process of getting married, can I move on without going to the court to dissolve that marriage? Or there'll be maybe he might come back to say, no, this is my wife.
Let me just get one thing clear. What was registered, you're saying money-wise and everything, nothing was registered as a joint anything, right?
No, it was an issue of being a secondary card holder, maybe on his account, or being a beneficiary on the policies, your life covers and your funeral policies.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Listen on the radio, and then we'll try to sort that one out for you.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Anonymous. Please help Anonymous from Pretoria.
Okay. Well, that is a bit of a difficult situation.
Yeah.
It's not really the part that we deal with.
Yes.
What I can say is, from a legal point of view, if you look at the Act, then that she just has to make sure that in terms of the customary laws applicable in terms of which she was married, that in the community it is very clear that they are separate, that they are divorced, basically.
Yes, yes.
They never registered it at Home Affairs, so there's no formal recognition on the customary union. It's just vital to make sure that all your policies are updated with the new information. If you want to take somebody off, because as long as you're alive, you can still go and update all your policies and make sure that they have the beneficiary on that you wish to have there.
Right.
That's important to do.
Yeah.
And of course your bank accounts and stuff you have to fix.
Now she's saying she wants to get married again.
Yes.
And she feels that this might be coming to haunt her.
Yes, that's why I say she's going to have to go back to the on your customary laws, on the community in which she was married. Each community I know have their own laws as to the recognition of what is recognized as a customary marriage. And if I understand it correctly, it means she's going to have to go back to the traditional route to say, all right, we have to formally recognize this marriage as being divorced.
Yes, yes.
And then if she wants to enter into a next marriage, if it's a civil marriage, it's fine. Then she can proceed with that. But you need to get it formally recognized in the community, that everybody recognizes them as being divorced.
All right. Thank you so much for that one. Let's move on again to Patco. Patco is listening to Takalani Community Radio in the Eastern Cape. Patco?
Molweni Tata Stone.
Ninjani Tata?
Ngiyaphila kunjani Tata Stone?
It's all good, Morenak.
Goed nog die dames wat daar gaan jou nog vanaand nog het baie bly hulle ook daar.
Ja, Patco is baie multilingual, ek kan sê.
It's baie lekker is dat so.
A true South African. Thank you so much, Patco.
Ngiyabulela kakhulu. Stone nginombuzo kanye ngifuna nje ucaciselwa ne. Khona someone o close kumu ne.
Yes.
And then bachata abazali bengenalwazi. emveni bayitshadile bayasebenza bobabini abantu abo yani then kwenzeke ngemistake umyeni asweleke emveni kokuba iswelekile umyeni and then usisi lona ahambe aclaime xa uclaima kufune zonke izinto death certificate nezinye zezinto xa sezibuya ngoku kuchazwa ukuba well kukhona i-beneficiary ne ezikhoyo inkosikazi ayinalwazi laloo nto leyo ingaba njengokumuntu okanjalo angancediswa njani.
All right. Listen to Takalani Community Radio. I'm sure Advocate is going to be talking about that.
All right.
Okay, I'm putting the Advocate on the spot on this one, right? Here's the situation. These guys, they met somewhere where the parents were not even seeing, and they got married without even the parents' consent and all that stuff, right? Now, the guy passed on, and they've been working together on all this wealth, whatever that they had. Now, she wants to claim. And here is a situation where other beneficiaries start cropping up all over the place. How do we help this one? Miss Marina?
Okay, so it will depend. So they were married?
Yes, they were married.
Both majors?
Yes, legally married. They had a certificate and everything. But the problem is that in our cultures, you know, if there's no blessing for your marriage, it's as good as not existing. But it might be existing on paper, right?
It exists in law. So
Yes.
it's being recognized in the law. So in terms of, if you look at the Constitutional Court cases, it's very clear that the interstate succession will actually be applicable. If the people didn't have a will, then we'll fall back on interstate, which means that the surviving spouse, depending on whether they're married in or out of community, so you didn't specify that. If it's in community, the first half of everything goes to the spouse.
Yes.
And then you look at your interstate succession, depending on when the person passed away. You have certain amounts that automatically goes to the spouse.
There's this person who's been reserved for you back at home. And it's not necessarily a legal spouse. You have this other one you met in Joburg, somewhere where you work. And now, there is this spouse, the parents like her, the elders like her and everything. And she's been even staying at your home while you went out to work. How does it work? Because probably it's been years. Like I was asking earlier on about those marriages that are not legitimate, but people have been together for years.
Yeah. Currently, that is a very big problem that we're sitting with. You have the conflict between the laws on the interstate succession and the Marriage Act and all those things, and on the other end of it, you have the customary laws that's applicable. It is a field of law that's developing all the time. So the courts are actually making rulings on this. It's a very difficult question to answer because I don't have a definite answer for you.
Yeah.
What I can say is it is developing every single day. You get court orders every 2-3 weeks almost. It feels like at this stage that you get a new court order that's developing a part of customary law. Yeah. It is about the protection of vulnerable groups within our communities as well. But the main thing that I can say is that if it is about inheritance, then it falls back on what can you prove. If you can prove it was a marriage with a marriage certificate, then obviously you will get recognition. If you can prove you were a child of the deceased, you get recognized as such. Yeah. So that's what we fall back on.
Advocate, would the court likely appoint a curator for this kind of situation, or a tutor or something like that, where here's these two people, there's two families basically, and this guy is gone. And basically what we know is that fireworks, there's going to be serious fireworks on this one. Can curatorship help on this one?
No, not at all. Curatorship is only for persons who is incapable of managing their own affairs. So if the person is capable and understand what they do, then the curator can't be appointed.
So there is no hope at all of it getting into the curatorship and all that.
No, the curatorship is there for vulnerable people, for people.
Only.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. And we're talking customary marriages. We're talking curatorship. And we're trying to find out more about how do they relate, which in many cases they don't. However, situations in life happen to bring all these situations together at some point. I can just think before the 90s that they could have... I wonder how a king with many wives, legal status with the wives actually looks like. It's just a curiosity thing in my mind, and I'm posing that one to you, Ms. Marina.
In terms of the recognition of Customary Marriages Act, we do recognize polygamous marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Your problem actually comes in with your registration, because the Home Affairs system allows you to register one marriage.
Yes.
So I'm sure they're also in development phases on a lot of their paperwork side.
And no lady would like to share their man, right?
No.
In reality, that is so. All these other arrangements that they're doing. But anyway, now that we've run out of time, Advocate, I would like to give you some time basically to touch on other things that might be highlighting this issue of curatorship.
Well, curatorship is a very specialized division of the Master's Office. And as you can see, it's basically for people that is incapable of managing their own affairs. Yes. So we assist them as far as possible. So if they have any questions, the Master is there to serve, and we will gladly assist them as far as possible with these curatorship matters.
Now, people chow people's monies. Let's say on a mental disability kind of situation, you find that you're staying with this person and they decide everything on your behalf. How do you determine that this is a legitimate person to make decisions on my behalf as a disabled person? Say maybe I cannot speak for myself. I cannot actually even lift a finger to say, yes, that to that one.
Oh, the master or the legal part of that is that there's medical experts, and the court and the law relies on medical experts stating whether the person is incapable or not of managing their own affairs.
All right.
So that is that we also rely on is the medical experts' reports.
All right. And then your last words on the customary marriage, on things that we didn't touch, Ms. Marina?
I think we touched on the main points of customary marriages.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for people to know that they are recognized, should be registered, and I think the matrimonial property system, a lot of people are unaware of the fact that it's considered to be in community of property.
Yes.
If you want to have it out of community of property, you need to register an antenuptial contract to determine that it's out. Otherwise, it's in community. It means everything that's either one of the spouses have forms part of a one joint estate.
Yes.
And people should remember that, because it does impact. But each one has got contractual capacity, and they can pretty much do what they have to do. They have got equal rights within, on the matrimonial property rights. It's pretty much equal rights between the husband and wife.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for availing your time and your information. And basically, we will definitely be talking more about this, because 1 hour is not enough. Yeah. And I would really believe that each and every topic between the two actually needs its own special attention, so that we don't complicate some of the issues. You've been listening to Let's Talk Justice. And Let's Talk Justice is brought to you by the Government Communications and Information System, as well as the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for all the radio stations who are partners on this. Until next week on Thursday, thank you so much. Goeienaand. Thank you so much. You see how quick it gets?
No. They come up with difficult questions. Some of them, you can't answer them.
That's why I was explaining to you to say, look, sometimes people take advantage of the show being here.
Yeah.
And now they'll be like, okay, let me just ask.
Yeah.
It might be a bit irrelevant, but normally how we treat it is that you can refer them to
Yeah.
some like you've been doing, and which for
Most
me
of
is
the-
quite a very great thing.
Most of them are quite relevant. You know, the lady with the question second, if she wants to get remarried. The only thing that prohibits her if it had been registered with Home Affairs.
Yes, yes.
You know, then she would have had to go for a formal divorce in the courts.
That's right.
But now
And,
it's not registered, so if she wants to enter into a civil marriage, then she can go ahead.
Yeah. And
it's interesting.
I would have loved if these guys don't put together two topics in one, because
Especially these two.